Imagine declaring independence and immediately having 5 entire countries declare war on you. That's exactly what happened to Israel on May 14, 1948. After 2,000 years without a homeland, the Jewish people finally got their own country. But here's the shocking part. Within hours of independence, 40 million Arabs from Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and Iraq launched a coordinated attack to wipe Israel off the map before it could even celebrate its first day. Against impossible odds, 650,000 Jewish settlers facing armies with tanks, planes, and unlimited weapons, everyone expected Israel to be destroyed in weeks. But somehow, this tiny newborn nation not only survived, but expanded its territory by 50%. Let's find out how the impossible became reality. May 15th, 1948, and Israel has been a country for less than 24 hours. The new nation has no real army, no tanks, no air force, and barely any weapons. Most of their soldiers are Holocaust survivors who just want to live in peace. Against this desperate situation, 5 Arab armies with 100,000 professional soldiers, hundreds of tanks, and modern aircraft crossed the borders simultaneously. Egypt attacks from the south with 10,000 troops in armor. Jordan's Arab Legion, trained by the British, strikes from the east. Syria and Lebanon pour in from the north. Iraq sends reinforcements. It's like a newborn baby being attacked by 5 grown men at once. But here's what makes it even more impossible. The entire world has abandoned Israel. Britain, who controlled Palestine, deliberately leaves their weapons to the Arabs and puts an arms embargo on the Jews. The United States refuses military aid. The Soviet Union supports the Arab invasion. Even worse, the Jewish community is split between recent Holocaust survivors who can barely hold weapons and local settlers who've never fought a real war. Most military experts predicted Israel would last maybe 2 weeks. The Arabs had every advantage: numbers, weapons, training, and international support. But they made one critical mistake. They underestimated Jewish desperation. These weren't just soldiers fighting for territory. They were Holocaust survivors fighting for their very existence. After losing 6 million people in Europe, the remaining Jews knew this was literally their last stand on earth. Israel's secret weapon wasn't superior tactics or better equipment. It was the knowledge that losing meant complete extinction. When you're fighting for survival, normal rules don't apply. While Arab armies fought like it was a regular war, Israelis fought like cornered animals with nothing left to lose. The first major test came at Kibbutz Degania in the Jordan Valley. Syrian tanks and infantry attacked this small farming community, defended by only 70 settlers with rifles and a few machine guns. The Syrians expected to roll right through and continue to Tel Aviv. But something incredible happened. These farmers, many of them Holocaust survivors, refused to retreat, even when Syrian tanks broke through their defenses. Using Molotov cocktails and improvised explosives, they stopped the Syrian advance cold. One settler, armed with only a bottle of gasoline, jumped onto a Syrian tank and disabled it from the inside. This tiny victory sent shockwaves through the Arab world. If farmers could stop professional armies, maybe this war wouldn't be as easy as they thought. The most impossible victory came during Operation Nachshon, the battle to keep Jerusalem supplied. Arab forces had completely cut off the road to Jerusalem, trapping 100,000 Jewish residents without food, water, or ammunition. Everyone expected the city to surrender within days. But the Israelis did something no one anticipated. Instead of trying to fight through the heavily defended main road, they built an entirely new, secret road through impossible mountain terrain in just 3 weeks. Working at night to avoid Arab spotters, thousands of volunteers carved a path through solid rock using hand tools and explosives. When Arab forces woke up one morning, they discovered Jewish supply convoys bypassing their blockade on a road that didn't exist the week before. The final turning point came during Operation Danny when Israel decided to go on the offensive. Instead of just defending scattered settlements, they coordinated attacks on multiple fronts simultaneously. Egyptian forces found themselves fighting in the south, while Syrian and Lebanese armies faced pressure in the north. Jordan's Arab Legion, trained by the British, strikes from the east. The most brilliant move was psychological. Israeli forces began advancing so aggressively that Arab armies, expecting easy victory, panicked when faced with unexpected resistance. Egyptian pilots abandoned their planes. Syrian tanks retreated rather than face desperate Israeli fighters. The hunters became the hunted. Israel won this impossible war for several clear reasons. First, absolute desperation. They knew losing meant extinction, so surrender was literally not an option. Second, innovation under pressure, building secret roads, creating weapons from farm tools, turning every civilian into a soldier. And third, unified command, while Arab forces didn't coordinate effectively and sometimes worked against each other. But most importantly, they understood that in existential wars, willpower beats weaponry. One person fighting for survival is worth 10 people fighting for conquest. By January 1949, the impossible had happened. Israel not only survived, but controlled 50% more territory than originally planned. However, this victory came at an enormous price. Israel lost 6,000 people, 1% of its entire population. Imagine if America lost 3 million people in one war. Arab populations were displaced, creating refugee crises that still impact the Middle East today. The war's end didn't bring peace. It created decades of conflict that continue today. Israel's miracle victory convinced Arabs they had been humiliated by a tiny nation, leading to more wars in 1967, 1973, and ongoing tensions. The birth of Israel proves that sometimes the most impossible dreams require the most desperate courage. Against every odd, 650,000 people created a nation that changed Middle Eastern history forever. But it also shows that victory in war doesn't automatically create victory in peace.